How many people do you think have a will? Before I researched this, I thought, it's got to be a lot of people, right? Wrong. In the UK, 60% of adults don't have a will. And here's the thing, if you're one of them, the government could decide who gets your money, your house, even your dog. Yep, for my two cousins who are watching, Nacho or Dot might end up with your weird cousin Rudi, instead of your kids. So let's fix that, because honestly, I don't want your dog. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Rudi Nesta, and I break down practical life lessons on personal finance, personal development, and smart money making decisions. Recently, I helped my nan sort out her will, and the experience made me realise something. Most people have no idea how important this document is. So I did some research and gathered real life stories from my family to bring you this video. By the end, you'll know exactly what a will is, why you need one, what happens if you don't have one, and how to make sure your loved ones don't end up in a fight over your stuff when you're gone. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for the story about my granddad, as it's a perfect example of why you need a will. Alright, before we get into why you need one, let's take it back to basics. What exactly is a will? And just importantly, what isn't a will? Because a lot of people think they know, but the reality is there are so many misconceptions. So let's clear them up. A will, officially called a last will and testament, is a legal document that lays out who gets what when you pass away. Think of it like the final set of instructions for your assets, money, and even your children's future. A properly written will should include your beneficiaries, the people or organisations who will inherit your money, property and possessions, executor, the person responsible for making sure your will is followed, guardianship of minor children, who will legally take care of your kids if you're no longer here, the distribution of your estate. This includes savings, investment, property, and even sentimental items like heirlooms or collectibles. Specific wishes, maybe you want a certain charity to receive a portion of your wealth, or you want your best friend to inherit your Pokémon or Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Your will makes that legally binding. A will removes uncertainty and ensures that your family don't have to guess what you wanted. Now, let's talk about what a will isn't, because there are some huge myths out there. A will is not automatically enforceable if it's just written down. A will must be legally valid, meaning it needs to be signed, witnessed, and stored correctly. A scribbled note won't hold up in court. A will does not avoid probate. Some people think that having a will means their family won't go through the probate process. Wrong. A will guides probate, but your estate still has to be legally processed before assets are distributed. A will does not cover everything. Certain assets like life insurance policies, pensions, and jointly owned property may not be controlled by your will. They have separate legal rules. A will is not set in stone. Life changes, marriages, divorces, having kids, so you should regularly update your will to reflect your current wishes. Otherwise, an ex-partner could inherit your assets by default. Letter of wishes. Now here's something most people don't know. A letter of wishes. And no, it's not like Aladdin's lamp where you get 3 wishes and a genie pops out to sort out your estate. Though let's be honest, that would make things a lot easier. But what it does do is give your family extra guidance beyond the legal jargon of your will. It's important to note that this is not a legally binding document, but it's hugely valuable. It's an addition to your will. Think of it as a personal letter that provides extra guidance and context for your executor and for your family. And you know what? The great thing about a letter of wishes is that it's completely private and can be updated anytime without any legal fees. Your will becomes public after probate, but a letter of wishes remains confidential. Only your executor and your family will see it. Alright, let's get straight into it. Why do you need a will, and what happens when you don't have one? For most people, writing a will feels like one of those things that you should do eventually. Let's be honest, it's a morbid topic and it involves money. 2 things most of us actively avoid talking about: death and finance, and I won't even mention taxes. That's why so many people put it off until later in life, or worse, they never get around to doing it at all. But here's the reality. Without a will, you lose control. Control over who inherits your money, your home, even who raises your kids if something happens to you. Instead, the government steps in and makes those decisions for you. Ask yourself, when was the last time you trusted the government to make the best decision for your family? A will gives you control over your assets, or the government decides for you. Let's start with the most obvious reason. You should decide who gets what, not the courts. If you own a house, have savings or investments, a will ensures that those assets go to the right people. Without one, your estate follows intestacy laws, a strict legal formula that does not consider your personal wishes. Here's how that plays out. If you're married with kids, your spouse only gets the first £322,000. The rest is split between your spouse and your children. So if you assumed everything automatically goes to your partner, you'd be very wrong. If you're unmarried, your long-term partner gets nothing. It all goes to your legal next of kin, even if you've been together for decades. If you have stepchildren, they're not legally entitled to anything unless you've formally adopted them. If you have no immediate family, your estate could go to a distant relative or even the government. And before you think, this won't happen to me, this happens every single day. The UK government receives around 2,000 new unclaimed estate cases each year. Don't be one of those cases. What is probate? Probate is the legal process of handling your estate after you die, ensuring debts are paid and assets are distributed. Without a will, this process becomes far more complicated, expensive, and time-consuming. Probate takes time, sometimes years. In the UK, probate typically takes 9 to 12 months, but if there's no will, it can drag on for years, leaving your family in limbo trying to sort this out. It's expensive. Probate can cost more than a house deposit. The average probate cost in the UK is between £15,000 and £30,000. That's more than the average house deposit, wiped out in legal fees before your family sees a penny. Legal fees and court costs eat up 5 to 10% of your estate, meaning thousands of pounds are lost unnecessarily, reducing what your loved ones inherit. Bank accounts can be frozen for months, even years. Without a will, your family may not be able to access money for funeral costs, rent, mortgages, or daily expenses. Your estate becomes public record. Unlike a will, probate is not private, meaning anyone, including distant relatives and even scammers, can see what you owned and who will inherit what. Your family may be forced to sell assets. If probate fees and legal expenses pile up, your loved ones may have to sell a property or valuables just to cover the cost. A well-prepared will ensures your estate is handled smoothly. Your loved ones avoid unnecessary stress, and your assets go to the people that you care about, not to legal fees and government delays. If you're unmarried, your partner gets nothing. This one catches a lot of people out. If you're in a long-term relationship but not married, your partner has no legal right to inherit from you. Even if you've been together for decades without a will, they could be left with absolutely nothing. And trust me, it happens all the time. Courts don't care if you plan to leave everything to them. If it's not in a legally binding document, it doesn't count. So let me tell you about my granddad. He was with his partner for years before she passed away. She was wealthy, and I'm talking millions in assets, properties and cash. They built a life together, lived in a beautiful home, and he naturally assumed that when she passed, he'd be taken care of. But because they weren't married and she didn't have a will, he inherited nothing. Her estate followed intestacy laws, meaning everything went to her next of kin, even though she would have wanted him to have it. He was evicted from their home, a house that he had lived in for years. With nowhere else to go, he ended up in sheltered accommodation, relying on carers for support before he passed away. Imagine that, decades together, and in the eyes of the law, he meant nothing. He wasn't even considered. That's why a will is crucial. It's not about how much someone loves you, it's about making sure the law recognises that love. A will protects your children and their future. If you have young children, this might be the most important reason to create a will. A will allows you to legally name a guardian, the person who will care for your children if something were to happen to you. Without one, you lose that choice, and the consequences can be really heartbreaking. Picture this: a judge, not you, will decide who raises your children. Your children could be placed in temporary foster care, or the courts determine guardianship. Family disputes may lead to costly, drawn-out legal battles, delaying crucial decisions about your children's future. In the UK, around 6,000 children end up in temporary care every single year due to unclear guardianship. In the US, custody battles can take years to resolve. Think about that. Do you really want to leave the decision to the courts? Getting a will now ensures that your children are cared for by the people that you trust the most. A will can prevent family argument. Money and inheritance can bring out the worst in people. Without a will, your estate is divided according to intestacy laws, meaning the government, not you, decides who gets what. This can lead to family disputes over inheritance. 1 in 4 people have witnessed or experienced family members falling out over money, property, or sentimental items. Siblings and relatives turn against each other, sometimes cutting ties for life over who deserves what. Distant or estranged relatives suddenly coming forward, claiming they're entitled to a share of your estate. Costly legal battles that drain your assets and cause unnecessary stress for your loved ones at a time when they don't need any more stress. I saw this happen in my own family when my granddad passed away. He left jewellery which wasn't named in his will. My aunt decided to give his wedding ring to her son, one of my youngest cousins, while her other son inherited a watch. As the oldest grandson, I received nothing. At the time I accepted it, but years later, as I was preparing for my own wedding, I realised how much I wanted that ring. By then it was too late. With no will outlining my granddad's wishes, there was nothing I could do apart from ask my cousin, who said no. If I had let resentment build, it could have permanently damaged my relationship with him. A well-written will prevents confusion, disputes, and legal battles. It makes your wishes crystal clear, ensuring your money, property, and sentimental belongings are distributed exactly as you intend. Instead of leaving your loved ones to argue over what's fair, a will provides certainty and peace of mind, protecting your family from unnecessary conflict. Don't leave your family to decide, as they may love each other, but I'm sure they won't always agree on everything. A will can save your family from financial hardship. Most people don't realise that when you pass away, your family may need immediate access to your money. But without a will, this can be nearly impossible. Bank accounts can be frozen for months, even years, leaving your loved ones unable to access your money while probate is being sorted. Everyday expenses don't stop. Your family may struggle to cover rent, mortgages, funeral costs, or basic bills because they can't reach your assets. Legal fees and probate costs can eat up to 5 to 10% of your estate's value, meaning thousands of pounds lost simply because no will was in place. Without a clear will, the probate process becomes slow, expensive, and stressful for your family, at a time when they shouldn't have to worry about money. Instead of supporting your family, your estate could be tying them up in legal delays, draining time and money. A well-prepared will ensures your assets are released faster, preventing unnecessary stress and financial difficulty, allowing your family to focus on grieving and healing. Without a will, your estate could end up in government hands. Most people assume that their assets will automatically go to loved ones when they pass away. But if you die without a will and have no immediate family, your money, your home, your possessions won't go to your best friend, partner, or charity you care about. They go to the government. In the UK, it's estimated that there is over £30 billion in unclaimed estates sitting in government accounts, never reaching the people it should have gone to. In 2017, more than 2,800 unclaimed estates in Greater London alone were worth a staggering £912 million. Imagine what that number could be now. In the US, some states have laws where unclaimed inheritances are absorbed by the system, meaning your hard-earned wealth disappears into government funds. You've worked your entire life, built your assets and saved money, only for it to be taken by the state instead of going to someone who actually matters to you. That's why a will isn't just about money, it's about protecting your legacy, however big or small, and making sure that your estate benefits the people and causes that you care about, not the government. We've covered what a will is, why you need one, and the absolute nightmare that happens if you don't have one. By now it should be obvious that writing a will isn't just something for the wealthy or the elderly, it's something everyone should have. A will ensures that your assets go to the right people, not just the default next of kin. Your partner is legally protected even if you're not married. Your children's future is secured with guardianship legally in place, and your family avoids expensive legal fees, unnecessary stress, and long probate delays. Your estate stays with the people and causes you care about, and not the government. It's one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to take care of the people you love. Getting a will. Now that you know why having a will is a must-have, let's talk about how to actually get one. You don't need to spend thousands. There are affordable and even free options available. Number 1. Free will services for those who qualify. Every March and October, you can access the Free Wills Month scheme, where solicitors draft wills for free. You can choose to leave a donation if you like. This is available for people over 55. If you're a trade union member, many unions offer free simple wills as part of their benefits. I'll leave links in the description so you can check if you qualify. Number 2, online will writing services. These are affordable and convenient. So if you have a straightforward estate, an online will writing service is a quick and cost-effective option. Money Saving Expert recommends Co-op Legal Services and Make a Will online, with prices starting under £100. I'll link these in the description for you to have a look at. Hiring a lawyer, best for complex estates and inheritance tax planning. If you have a complex estate, own multiple properties, have children from different relationships, or need inheritance tax planning, hire a solicitor. A professional will ensure that your wishes are airtight, and this reduces the risk of disputes, legal challenges, and unnecessary tax bills. Where to store your will so it can be found easily. Once your will is written, it's useless if no one can find it. So make sure it's stored safely and it's registered. Register it with the National Will Register. This ensures your will can be found quickly using the location that you've provided. Your online will provider or solicitor will likely store a copy as part of their service, but double check just to make sure that they do this. Best practice is to store your will with HM Courts and Tribunal Service in England and Wales. There's a £22 fee, but withdrawing it is completely free. Now I want to hear from you. Have you or someone you know ever been affected by a will, or the lack of one? Maybe you've seen a family argument over inheritance, or maybe you've inherited something completely unexpected. Money, a house, a pet, or even something really bizarre. Drop your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences, and I know that others will find them just as eye-opening. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button so more people can see this and start thinking about their own plans. If you're into personal finance, life planning, and making smart decisions for your future, hit subscribe and turn on the notifications so you never miss a video. Let's keep the conversation going, and I'll see you in the next one.